Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by Owen McKendry. This is a weigh-in reaction video to the big fight tomorrow night between Artur Beterbiev and Callum Smith for Artur Beterbiev's light heavyweight world titles taking place in Quebec, Canada. Owen, bit of a strange one. The way those two fighters they weighed in before the rest of the cards. Never seen that before. They both made weight. Callum Smith 174.6, Artur Beterbiev bang on 175. Give us your reaction to what we've just seen.
Yeah, thanks you for having me on as always, but probably the strangest weigh-in I've ever seen. I know similar to yourself, I missed it initially. I was watching them weigh in, got to Jason Maloney and thought, right, they're on next. And then there's a women's fight that they weighed in. And I was thinking, what's going on here? Straight to Twitter, had a look through and strangely, there's I think because a lot of people have missed out also the reactions being quite slow. Had to take the YouTube stream back to the start and managed to find it. So the reasoning behind that, haven't seen anything advertised to say they were going to go in first. So yeah, very, very strange.
Yeah, an odd one. Like there might be reasons for this that we don't know, so I don't want to kind of ponder on it too much. But obviously, they weighed in for the rest of the card, so it means that there was maybe just kind of a lack of hype around it, and people wondering, are these guys going to make weight? What are they going to look like? So there's a lot of catch up. The fighters have also weighed in at midday Quebec time. Obviously, here in the UK, by the time the main event fighters get on the stage, get on the scales, it's around 1:30 p.m.
Mhm.
Um, Again, there might be a reason for this. We don't really know, but yeah, for all we do know, either Beterbiev or Callum Smith could have kind of requested an earlier weigh-in. But we don't know, so not going to talk about it too much. Thoughts on how both fighters looks, Owen Beterbiev, been at light heavyweight a long time, about to turn 39 years old. I remember I was at some of the fight week events for Beterbiev Anthony Yard this time last year. I thought Beterbiev looked fairly gaunt the day of the press conference. Didn't look too bad the day of the weigh-in, and obviously made weight then. A year later, he's made weight again. Callum Smith made 168 pounds for all those years. We'll never know how we kind of managed to get down to that weight. He's a large man, and now obviously he's at light heavyweight and making the weight there. Thoughts on the appearance of both fighters, Owen?
Yeah, I'll start with Beterbiev as the champion. Yeah, I think he did look a bit gaunt. He looked. It's mental to say a man who's 175 pound look quite skinny. But I think he does tend to do that on weigh-ins. I'd imagine there'll be a heavy rehydration for Artur Beterbiev. So it's nothing we haven't seen before. If you're a Beterbiev fan, you'd sort of know it. And if it's someone tuning in for the first time to a Beterbiev fight, you might be worried. I wouldn't be too worried about it. We've seen it many times before. I just think that, as you say, 39 years old almost, it has to take its toll on you, especially when he's spent pretty much his whole career, amateur wise and pro wise at that weight. Eventually, it must get tough to make the weight because I think he'd comfortably step up to cruiserweight and make the weight. I think for Callum Smith, I thought Callum Smith looked excellent on them scales. He popped straight on weight. He looked healthy and happy. A lot of fighters obviously they can give off almost like the aura that they're okay, but he genuinely looked quite confident as they announced the weight. Genuinely is, I know we talk about it a lot, but how that man ever made 168 pound is one of the biggest mysteries I've ever seen in boxing. Because I look at him on the scales there and think he'd comfortably, like he would be so comfy at cruiserweight. It's insane to think that he made super middle. So yeah, weigh-in went as expected. I do think Beterbiev is a slight worry that he still looks like that at sort of, near on 40 years of age. But as I say, it's nothing we haven't seen before. But if you're looking at the two, I think Callum Smith defo came out the better of the weigh-in.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Yeah, but I think Callum Smith had a bit more energy about him than Beterbiev did. There was a quite a short face-off. Obviously, Beterbiev and Callum Smith, they're probably the two fighters least likely to kind of trash talk at a weigh-in, so we didn't get any of that. We don't really know how Beterbiev can speak English. Could he understand Callum Smith's Scouse accent? Possibly not. Does he speak super fluent English? Possibly not. So we weren't expecting any of that, and we didn't get it. Um, One thing I did notice, it felt like Beterbiev wasn't didn't really want to stand there and have kind of like a long standing face off with Callum Smith, the way that Callum Smith maybe would have happily done. So it kind of felt like to me he was quite keen to stop the face off, go and
Mm.
get some more fluid inside of him, and kind of get off the stage. Really, would you agree with that at all, or not so much?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, Beterbiev, I've seen him watch pretty much every fight of his career. I think he does come across to me as just business as usual. He's not interested in all the trash talk, going nose to nose, pushing and shoving. I think for him, it's get on the stage. So obviously, he clearly it does take a lot out of him to make the weight. So I do believe it's just a case of he seems highly, highly professional. So it's a case of make weight, quick face off, because it's just boxing that you do that sort of thing, face off and off stage. But as much as it's business as usual, I do think he got extra time with the early weigh in to rehydrate and gives him more time to almost sort of rejuvenate himself and feel comfy at whatever his ring walk weight will be. So yeah, I definitely do agree that it was he not necessarily hastily wanted to get away, but I really don't think he was interested in spending too long face off with Callum Smith. I think as well that it's almost a mind game in itself of Callum Smith will want to be sizing him up, as the bigger man. So it takes that element away from Smith as well. So I do think it's a clever move from Beterbiev, but I also think it's a move that he has to do.
Yeah, for sure. I think possibly the final question. I've got two more questions for you, Owen. Beterbiev, almost 39 now, been a light heavyweight a long time. Say he has three or four more fights left in him. Do you think win or lose tomorrow? Actually, we're expecting to see that undisputed fight between him and Dmitry Bivol later this year. Yeah, in what would be a massive fight, which obviously still be 175 pounds. If Beterbiev loses tomorrow, do you but he fights on, do you think he will continue at light heavyweight and possibly wait for the Callum Smith Dmitry Bivol winner
Mm.
at the end of this year or loser? Or do you think we'll see Beterbiev move up to cruiserweight?
I can see him staying, to be honest. Cruiserweight at the moment isn't the best division. I think once even Jai Opetaia, it's inevitable that he takes all the titles. It looks like he's going to move up to heavyweight. So when you take Jai Opetaia out of the equation, obviously you've got your Joe Smiths and your Bradis, etc. But I think it's a lot more lucrative for Beterbiev to stay at light heavy and either have the rematch with Smith or face Bivol. So I do see that. I'm going to twist the question slightly. If he wins, I think I can see him taking the Bivol fight for undisputed, and then I really could see him step up to cruiserweight for almost just like one fight, because I think if he steps up, he's going to step up as the undisputed light heavyweight champ, and he will then move into a straight title fight. Whether it's one title that's vacant or if it's Jaya Pataya again only has say an IBF title, um, it'll be for that. Or if it's for all the marbles, if he steps up, it would be for that. But then I think I do also see him sort of. You look at his amateur record, you look at his pro record. I could see him taking the Bivol fight if he beats Callum Smith, and then I could see him retiring. To be honest, retire on top of the pile, retire as the king of the division, and sail off into the sunset after a standout amateur and professional career. So I think there's more likely we see him stay at the weight than go up.
Yeah, yeah, we shall see. Look, it's such a big jump up, isn't it, from light heavyweight to cruiserweight, and he might it's maybe difficult to move up at that
Mhm.
age. And also look, fat luck. You can't. I know some people say age is just a number. However, it's like still facts are facts. Serbia's not going to be here in 5 years fighting, is he? He's not. He can't have too many fights left in him. So we'll see what happens. If you're watching this video, please do check out our final predictions video. It is not between, it is with Owen and Niall. It is going out at 12 p.m. UK time on Saturday, obviously the day of the fight. Owen and Noel will be giving their final thoughts, final predictions ahead of a fight we're all looking forward to. Artur Beterbiev versus Callum Smith. on Saturday night in Quebec, Canada. Owen, thank you very much for your time. I will speak to you again soon.
Pleasure as always, mate.